Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to today's edition of PWR Interactive. Damian Nelson here, sitting alongside the man they call Meathead from the Pro Wrestling Report Studios. Meathead, how are you?
As long as you didn't call me the man they call Rusty.
Thanks for tuning in, folks. What is PWR Interactive? Well, if you don't know yet, it is all about you. We've got a couple of emails here. We've got forum posts here. And today, Meathead, we're going to talk about total non-stop action wrestling. A couple of weeks ago on the Pro Wrestling Report, gave a little bit of a passionate speech about what we thought about TNA and what they needed to do. And as they are coming up on their
big pay-per-view, Bound for Glory.
And their 2-hour debut this Thursday night.
Right, on Spike.
Exactly. Let's talk a little bit about what the fans are saying in the forum.
Here's a thread that I want to start with. Title, What is TNA?
I think they're wrestling.
Posted by Kaz09.
The Kazmanian Devil.
Rotherham. I don't know where Rotherham is. I assume England.
We'll just go ahead and go across the pond.
Yeah, I think Rotherham's from England. I assume. Anyways, I'm going to kind of paraphrase here. What's with AJ still being Christian's puppet? I thought this would be over now since what happened at Slammiversary and the King of the Mountain match. AJ should come out of Cage's shadow with a match Bound for Glory. If you look back to TNA's first show, many of the wrestlers there have left, with many going to WWE. TNA should now try and keep what talent they have left from early days before the reason TNA fades away. Here's a rundown. Here's a rundown from TNA's first ever show of the talent that was on the card. There was a match of AJ Styles, Jerry Lynn, and Low Key versus Jorge Estrada, Sonny Sayaki, and Jimmy Yang. There was T.O. versus Hollywood, midget match apparently. Richard and Rod Johnson, who were Gemini in WWE, versus Psychosis and James Storm. Christian York and Joey Matthews versus Stand Up, Trevor Murdoch, and Bo Dupp. And then the Gauntlet for Gold was Jeff Jarrett, Buff Bagwell, Lash LaRue, Norman Esmaile, Apollo, Slash, not from Guns N' Roses, Bruce, Ron Killings, Conan, Rick Steiner, Chris Harris, Vampire Warrior, Devin Storm, who was Crowbar, Steve Carino, Brian Christopher, Scott Hall, Ken Shamrock, and Molise. What happened to TNA?
It's a great question, and as you listen to that roster Meathead just ran off, keep in mind that was also 5 years ago, and that was TNA in its infancy when they were doing weekly pay-per-views. They were in Nashville every week. It was this underground little organization. But what really
I don't think they were that underground, because remember, it had the JRF money and the WCW stink on it.
And what we have to think about is, remember for how long ECW, TNA was being referred to as the next ECW. It had an underground cult following, if you will.
Right.
And now that's really gone away. But what is missing from that list, and it's a good thing it was missing from that list at the time, are these big money names that they keep going out and buying, thinking that this is the next big step.
To get the ratings. And then again, we've talked about this before when we did the TNA discussion a couple weeks ago. It seems that TNA is catering more to the network now than they have to the wrestling fan and to the product itself.
The same network that ECW is up against?
The same network that had ECW to start with.
It is indeed.
When it was the...
We got to find that interview in the archives. Remember we found
the Joey Styles?
Found the archives. We've got that Don Callis and Joey Styles shoot interview.
Oh, Joey was not happy with WWF or E. He told them to get the F out. And it's amazing that Joey still wants to work with WWE after hearing what he really thought about him. But to be honest, Joey didn't need this job. They called Joey. Remember how passionate Joey was when he got kicked off of the WrestleMania pay-per-view and they gave it back to Jim Ross? They called Joey. Joey didn't call them. Joey had a fine business, deal that he was doing on his own. They called him. But why would you pass on what you're passionate about or what you want to do in life?
Exactly.
So,
any other comments there on TNA?
No, we kind of. There was a couple guys. Like I said, it was Kaz09 and then Shavaki, who had to spell his name phonetically for guys like you, so you can pronounce it correctly. Just kind of back and forth. The discussion about are the guys that TNA picks up now rejects at WWE.
Some could be called that. Many can't. Kurt Angle, Christian Cage. Certainly not rejects of WWE. Rikishi, I believe, actually did not get released. He chose not to renew his contract. The Black Rain, Gold Dust, Dustin Rhodes, I believe he also chose not to sign with WWE. So there are several who made the choice.
I remember that MVP was once in TNA as well.
Mm-hmm.
Antonio Banks. So, and by the way, Kaz09,
Canadian Destroyer.
Is
There's a
this-
problem.
is
There
this
is your
fiction?
problem with
Yeah.
TNA is. Why
Why is a
how many
talented
weeks
wrestler?
has it been since we've seen PD on Impact?
It's been a while. And
I-
when he's
I-
on, he
yeah, I
dubs out
don't
and
watch
does
last
not
week's,
get
yeah.
to perform his finisher.
It can't be Christmas every day. It only comes once a year.
Wrap this up, because I'm going to get heated about that, too.
That is this Tuesday edition of PWR Interactive, folks.
He's
We'll
not
be
sure
back
worried.
tomorrow with another edition of PWR Interactive, where it's going to be questions for this Jamook next to me, Meathead. So make sure you tune in, folks, and we'll see you then on this next edition of PWR Interactive, where I hope I feel better by then. Probably not. Thank you, folks.
Heenan, Gagne, Bockwinkel, Mad Dog Vachon, Baron Von Raschke, the High Flyers, and Dr. X. Your childhood is filled with sweet memories of them. Beating the living daylights out of each other. Great Lakes Championship Wrestling in 97.3 The Brew presents the Legends of Wrestling Fan Fest. Sunday, October 21st, noon to 4 at the Ramada Convention Center. Get autographs and pictures with your favorite legend. Get more info online at 973thebrew.com.